What a absolutely gorgeous day today. Good morning, guys, and welcome to YouTube video number 2. At the time of recording this, I posted the first YouTube video yesterday and I got a lot of really good feedback on it. And I feel like very encouraged to just kind of like keep up with doing this. So for this video, I'm thinking that it'll be a full day of eating, including like supplements, just everything that I'm having, and kind of just explaining how I go about doing all that, how I go about like tracking my nutrition, all that good stuff. But I just got up and I'm ready to head out to the gym, and so we're gonna get some carbs, gonna get some pre-workout, get hydrated, and get rolling on the day here. So that you have the context of where I'm at in my day right now, I woke up maybe like an hour ago. I did bed rot for a little bit and edited some videos to get ahead of that for the day. But the main point is that I haven't drank anything today. So before I'm going to carbs, before I'm going to pre-workout, obviously anything like that, I'm getting down some water. After you've been sleeping for what should be 8 hours, you haven't had obviously water for those 8 hours. So every time that we wake up, we're pretty dehydrated. So first thing in the morning, before you get coffee, before you have a meal, drink some water, please. I get down about 20 ounces, which is good enough for my size. So by the time that I'm in the gym, I have about 40 ounces in me first thing in the morning. But adjust your water needs to the size that you are. Now for carbs, given the fact that I am not that large of a person, my body doesn't need that many carbs in order to like optimize my training. I try to get in about 50 grams of carbs before I go lift, which even that amount pre-training is keeping it pretty safe, making sure that I have like plenty. And your body can't actually put into use like a huge surplus of carbs. And so obviously I just woke up, I've been fasting for the last 8 hours, but I'm also very well fed right now at maintenance. I'm not in a deficit or anything like that. So all of my nutrition from yesterday is going to be showing up in my lift today. Basically, very simplified, my fuel for this lift is going to be determined by what I had yesterday rather than the carb up that I'm having now. I just want to make sure that I'm being safe and setting myself up to have a quick source of energy this morning. But these ones are incredible. Sea salt pretzel Rice Krispie treats. If you've never had these ones, it comes in the caramel version and it also comes in the chocolate version. So good. Highly recommend if you're looking for another carb up source, but I'm gonna have 2 of these, go lift, and meet you back here for breakfast. Totally almost forgot to go over what I'm even doing for pre-workout. So for every single upper body day for the last maybe year and a half, 2 years, I have been running Project Mass. It is my favorite like pump ingredient based pre. And if you don't know what that means, it means that the ingredients in it basically just promote a very, very good pump, which for any upper body day is super fun, makes you look very, very cool. The pre itself doesn't have a ton of caffeine. I usually only do 1 scoop too. So it's got about 150 milligrams of caffeine. It's mixed of quick release and slow release caffeine. So it's not just like the caffeine that makes you jump up in energy and crash immediately. It's also going to like slowly release during your lift. So it's a super smooth energy. And then for pump, it's got vasodrive, L-citrulline, and hydroprime, and so it leads to a very, very nasty pump. Promotes a lot of blood flow, also promotes water going to the right places. But if you do actually need a pre-workout recommendation, I do work with Ecovision, so I don't want to seem like I'm biased, but there's a lot of pre-workouts from them that I could use, and obviously I work with them because I like them. But this would be the top one that I'd actually recommend, whether you're like newer in the gym, newer to pre-workouts or not. But also know that if you are going to the gym, you do not need to actually take pre-workout. Like if you take a nice electrolyte supplement or just make sure that you're hydrated before, have some black coffee, have an energy drink, anything like that, it's all gonna work the same as long as your mindset is right. You do not need pre-workout to have a good workout. It's just like a cherry on top. But now I'm gonna go to the gym and I will see you guys for meal 1. All right, it's time for meal 1. We're going with protein pancakes. If you watched the first video, you know I've been having this meal for the last like 3 months or so. That might even be like a shorter period than it's actually been. But I love this meal, and I've added a little bit of variety in how I make it recently. So the updated recipe for this is pumpkin, egg beaters or egg whites, same thing, salt, sweetener, extracts, and PB2. For extracts, we're going with almond and vanilla today. I normally go with chocolate extract because they make that. They make chocolate extract, tap into extracts, but I am unfortunately out of that one right now. See how smooth that is? No clumps. That's what you want. When it comes to actually pouring it into the pan, I want to be the one to tell you that you do not have to make multiple pancakes. You can just make one big pancake. That's how I love doing it. So you pour it all in and then you spread it out, make one large pancake, as so. This is the end result. Added some blueberries, some Greek yogurt, and some sugar-free syrup on top of all of it. I try to make it a little bit prettier for you guys, but this is the breakfast of the day. This is meal 1. I'm gonna demolish this and I will be back for meal 2. It's time for some lunch here. I did change my clothes, so disregard that fact. It is the same day, but after breakfast, I mowed my lawn, and I live in Houston if anyone doesn't know, so it is like hot out there. So by the time I was done, I was drenched and I needed to take a shower. I'm gonna get meal 2 ready, and it is a slop bowl today. Oh my goodness. If you have never seen my TikTok, I have a slop bowl basically every single day for lunch. And by slop bowl, I mean that I just have a bunch of random ingredients and toss it all into a bowl. So it's not like a formal meal. It's just like a big old salad, if you want to call it that, but it's also not like just greens or anything like that. Still has a good amount of carbs, fats, protein, all of it. So it's not like a low calorie salad or something like that. It's just like a bowl of food. But for today's, we're gonna go with black beans, red potato, carrots, one singular egg, some lettuce as the base, some pickled onions, and then some salmon. And I think that that's it. Also going to use the sesame ginger teriyaki sauce from Joey Swoll's brand. If you guys are in need of like a zero sugar sauce to add to your mix, this one is really, really good. Especially if you like eggs, teriyaki sauce with some eggs, insane. Same thing with Japanese barbecue sauce, awesome. Now, how you make this meal is pretty self-explanatory. You just toss it all into a bowl, but for the only things that I do have to cook is the potatoes and the carrots. And so I wanna show you how I do that. There's a million different ways that you could cook them. You could air fry them, put them in the oven, anything like that. But the way that I do it is I like to steam them. It makes them super soft. And if you've never had steamed carrots before, obviously it's going to be way different than sweet potato, but it makes them sweet, which I didn't know that they got all sweet like that until I gave it a shot, and it's really, really good. Obviously different than sweet potato, but it still has like a sweet palate, if that makes any sense. So I have them evenly dispersed in here. I put a little bit of water in there and then put a lid over it. Put them on the stove at medium until the water is no longer in the pan, and they're like, you can poke a fork through it if you want to. They should be soft all the way through. And that's how you know that they're done cooking. That's when you should add on the seasoning too. And what I do, I forgot to mention it when I was tossing it all out here, I will grab a tomato from there, dice that up, and once these are all done cooking and it's like sitting in the seasonings and the juices, I throw the tomato in there and it basically just soaks up all the seasonings. It's really, really good. Last little tip of this section of the video, if you do cook a lot of meals from fresh instead of like meal prepping and having it like already meal prepped in your fridge, you can still prep ingredients. Like I have all these nice and chopped up and washed already. All the tomatoes that I have in there are already washed, so I don't have to worry about it when I'm chopping them up. Carrots are all diced up and ready, so it just like cuts down on preparation time, and you can just grab what you need, toss it in the pan. It just saves overall time. So if like I'm having a really busy day, don't want to actually like chop up food, I no longer have an excuse to like not prepare all of my meals because it's already ready. So if you are a person that maybe runs low on time, maybe taking a Sunday to not meal prep all of your meals, but at least get like the ingredients ready to make it a little bit easier on yourself, you know? But I'm gonna cook this up and I will see you guys in a second once this meal is all done. Look at just how gorgeous that is. So I absolutely love kava. Anytime that we're traveling, like that's what I look forward to going and getting. That's like what I'll put into the GPS to specifically look up to try to get. And after my palate was open to the world that is kava, that is when I started my like obsession with these little bowls. If you follow me on TikTok, this is probably gonna sound a little bit repetitive just because I always talk about how you can always make a slop bowl to fit your macros instead of having like some bland food. And obviously if you are making some kind of meal, it does not have to have like a million different ingredients. I know that this is way overkill. I just love a good slop bowl, but you can use a few fun ingredients like beans, pickled onions, teriyaki sauce, just things that are going to give a really, really good flavor. And especially since eating like this and getting my fiber intake up, my digestion has been just like awesome. Obviously you have to give your body a minute to actually like adjust to digestion. That's an issue that a lot of people run into where they immediately start pounding down fiber, and it's going to screw with your digestion if you do that. You have to allow it to actually like build up a tolerance. But the more variety that you can build into your diet over time, the better your digestion is going to be, the better your gut is going to be able to handle different foods. And since building my diet up to have like so much variety in it, my digestion has been just like awesome. I used to have a lot of gut issues, so something I'm very thankful for. But that is meal 2 out of 4, so we've got 2 more to go, and I will see you guys back here for meal 3. All right, it's time for meal 3. We've got a little bit of a yogurt bowl situation going on, but like amplified. I'll show you what I mean. So when I'm talking about it being amplified, this is what I mean. So we've got the blueberries going into the bowl, and then we're not melting them down. We're just putting the first cup of Greek yogurt right into it. Now what this is gonna do, because the blueberries aren't melted, is it's actually gonna freeze the yogurt a little bit. It makes it like a, well, frozen yogurt texture, but none of you guys could guess that. I usually do have more blueberries in this. This is like maybe 90 grams. Usually have like 170 around there. So it usually makes it a lot more frozen than this, but you can kind of see it, hopefully. Putting this one on as the second layer here. The next layer that we've got here is some PB2, but it's made a very specific way. If you were just making it with water, no wonder it tastes bland. You gotta add some spice into it. So we've got our PB2. What we're mixing it with is a little bit of salt. It's gonna bring out some flavors, make it a little bit less bland. And then you could either do sweetener in some water, or you can do sugar-free syrup, which is what I really like to do. A lot of people say that this combination tastes like Skippy peanut butter. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you guys. It doesn't taste exactly like that, but it does taste really good. Like to the fact where I'm not even in a deficit right now and I'm enjoying adding this to a yogurt bowl when I'm also adding like real nut butter along with it. And then this will be our next layer. Not really a layer, more of just like a blob in the side. We're almost done here. The last little things are just the toppings. I'm going with a little bit of granola and this Justin's chocolate hazelnut butter. I imagine it to be something similar to Nutella. This is my first time using this in a very, very long time. I was using like the rainbow nut butters, if you know what I'm talking about. Those ones are really, really good if you ever get a chance to try them. The very, very last step here is putting a little bit of sugar-free syrup on and then some salt. If you guys have never done this before, adding salt to anything sweet just like brings out all the flavors, makes it so much better. Not like a ton of salt, but just like enough to garnish it a little bit. Just like the little like salt meme, the salt guy, like that. Ta-da! Before I dive into this, I wanted to talk for a second of just like how I approach my nutrition. So I am not in a cut, I am not in a prep. I am just living my life and trying to maintain my weight the best that I can right now. So the main things that I look at for my diet is to hit a minimum amount of protein. I normally go over it because I do like eating a lot of protein sources, and then staying within a calorie range. And that can be adapted if I'm a little less active a certain day or if I'm a little more active another day. It's all pretty adaptable. Now, I didn't always used to be like this. I used to be so anal about like hitting every single specific number, whether I was on season, like in a prep or in my off seasons. And now with where I'm at in my life, I am just happy kind of like chilling like this. Like it takes a lot of stress off of me. If you have a specific goal, I'm not knocking that in any kind of way. Like it's always going to be best to like nail all the little details if you have a very specific goal. I'm very happy with where I'm at right now. And this is just the way that I approach my nutrition that works for me and leaves me kind of like the happiest, gives me a lot of flexibility to like eat out, gives me a lot of flexibility in terms of like eating different foods every day, all that kind of stuff, all that good stuff. Lets me get into like a whole lot of variety into my foods and not having to follow like a specific meal plan. I eat very similar things every day, but it does change pretty often, you know? But I wanted to explain just like what I do for myself a little bit. What I do for myself is different than what a lot of my clients do and what I program for them in terms of like having specific macros when they have very specific goals. Like all my prep girls, they're on specific macros, they're on meal plans, and that's the approach that fits what their goal is right now. But for me, I'm not in a prep. I'm just living my life. I have no idea if I'll compete again versus like even when I would consider competing again. And I've been making really good progress with a more relaxed approach. And I've also had like a lot less food noise, a lot less like overwhelm around food. I find like when you fixate on food so much, like the little nitty gritty details, you find yourself like waiting for your next meal, kind of obsessing over like what's gonna fit your macros, all this kind of stuff. And like taking a more relaxed approach that can be pretty like adjustable day to day. It makes it so that I'm not constantly thinking about food. And I fell into that rabbit hole for a while when I was younger. So I'm thankful for where I'm at now. I feel like my like frontal lobe around food's like finally developed where I can see it as like not being like gluttonous around it, you know? You know what I mean. But I'm gonna enjoy this and I hope that you have a blessed day. I'll catch you again for meal 4. See you guys in a minute. All right, last meal of the day. This is my little like nightcap, sweet treat kind of meal, sweet and salty, if you will. First of all, we've got a chocolate and peanut butter Ninja Creamy and a bowl of popcorn with some seasoning salt on it. I've been making a bunch of different recipes of Ninja Creamies, but this has been like a staple meal, if you will. I don't know if you call it a meal or a snack, but like a little treat before I'm getting ready to kind of like wind down for the day. This is the last meal and definitely one of my favorite meals. But after getting through this whole full day of eating, I hope this is just like a reminder that your meals do not have to be bland in order to fit your goals. Like I'm getting in enough protein. If I wanted to, I could like customize this to fit any sort of macros that I really wanted to. I'm not necessarily looking at like the carbs and fats. I have a minimum for both obviously, but I'm not like hitting specific numbers there. I'm just making sure that I'm getting in enough fat, hitting omega-3s and my omega-6s, and putting enough carbs around my workout, just nailing the basics, you know? If you do have some specific goals, it's gonna serve you really well to be creative about how you are actually filling your diet in order to meet those goals. I didn't end up showing it. I will have it later tonight, but I'm hoping to edit this video before then. In terms of supplements, I take just the normal supplements of like a multivitamin, magnesium, and vitamin D, and creatine, and pre-workout like you saw this morning, and electrolytes sometimes if I feel like I need them, but this is the full day of eating. I hope there's at least one positive or educational anything that you could take away from it, but yeah, I hope that you all have a blessed day. If there's anything that you want to see from me, let me know, but I'm hoping to get these out pretty consistently. I'm really going to try here. All right. I hope you have a blessed day. Bye.